let me stop the share and start going through questions to see if I have an answers. Okay, I'm just going to read the questions and address them. In the younger grades, there are not 30 plus students. Can there be a B model in those grades? That would, we're not inclined to do that. The scheduling of that would be extremely difficult. It would just be operating two schedules in this model would be very challenging. And in order to operate a B model, you'd really have to have 20 students in a class because, again, the max number of students at most really is 10 students per class. So you'd really be looking at an ABC model as opposed to a B model. And at that point, getting the students in an extra day, potentially an extra day a week, would really not be, it just wouldn't be worth it for the confusion that would cause. The only grade that would really apply to is kindergarten, because first grade goes up to 32. That's their class size. Remotely run school days, but if they're in regular school hours, schooling assignments in the meantime. Public schools and mass have video lessons. We don't know what remotely run school days will look like. Again, a lot of that is has to do with labor relations and what the guidance is. But we are going to do everything we can to in remote learning to make sure that there is more live instruction. 25% will most likely not attend, not change their mind on any given. They will be given the opportunity. Why can you not plan for a specific number each quarter? The problem with planning for a specific number each quarter is that would really require us to reprogram 2 or 3 times throughout the year, and that's just really not feasible. That undertaking would just be, it's just not feasible. Logistically, it's too challenging, and the lack of continuity and consistency would cause a lot of questions, a lot of confusion, excuse me. Consistency is what we have to shoot for here, to the extent we can. The survey to make a choice is open now. It closes August 7th, but it's my understanding that you can change at any time. You can opt out at any time. You cannot opt out in at any time, but you can opt out at any time. My advice to parents would be wait as long as possible to make your decision. That way you can make it, with as much information as possible, because once you've opted out, you can't opt back in. I believe it's going to be quarterly, so you lock in there. So I would give yourself as much time as possible so you can make an informed decision. If you end up with 15 students in a class, will you change? Again, it's not a matter of ending up with 15. Well, first of all, we couldn't do 15 students a total, I'm sorry. It's not a matter of ending up with 15. We really have to plan for our class size limits. Otherwise, it would lead us to reprogram several times a year. It is being recorded, yes. Again, Maspeth will be here on a limited basis. We're not clear on the protocol if a teacher, admin, or any student has contracted the virus yet. We're waiting for guidance on that. We don't know the dates for a parent to change. I'm assuming this question, as far as changing your mind, that would be during the school year. The only indication I've got is yes. First of all, yes, you can change your mind at some point after the school year begins. The indication has been quarterly. I don't know for sure what those dates yet. That has not been shared with us yet. If a child gets sick during the day, will you shut down? I do not know. Well, my initial thought on that, it would be logistically, shutting down the school would be extremely difficult. So the idea that if a child were to get sick at 10 in the morning, what the guidance right now is to have isolation rooms where the child would be placed, or staff member would be placed. If it's a child, they will be accompanied by a staff member. If it's an adult, they'll be left alone in an isolation room, or an adult would really be sent home when I think about it. But the idea that we could shut down midday is not likely, and we don't know the notification process. So if a child were to be symptomatic at 10 in the morning, our job would be, as the guidance seems to be now, we place them in an isolation room with an adult, contact the parent, ask them to come pick the child up. I do not know how the city will then handle the protocol for notifying the school community or for closing the school down. The switch between blended, you can at certain points in the year. Siblings, yes, the plan is the default option. What we will do as a school is we will schedule siblings together. Unless a parent wants, specifically says they'd like their children separate, then we'll do all we can to accommodate that. Hand washing stations. Right now, every classroom is not equipped with a hand washing station. There will be hand sanitizer. The only place right now for children, except for some of the lower grade classrooms have sinks. Other than that, we have the school bathrooms. I do not know if there's any plan to add hand washing stations throughout the school above and beyond what we already have. How do you expect for the classroom to function with the small kindergarten children? Will they be able to comply? That's a good question. That's going to be a challenge that we're going to have to work on. In the rec centers, the rec sites where children of first responders and essential workers have been going, they have been pulling this off, and it's been successful. There's actually been a tremendous amount of success at the rec centers with children of all ages leaving masks on, keeping distance. So we're hoping that model or that success translates into the regular school day. A lot of it's going to be through education and just constantly reiterating to children the importance of washing hands, wearing masks, using hand sanitizer, and we'll have to see. I answered that question about a case of COVID, the shutdown. Will you be providing? Yes, of course. As information comes in, I will be sharing that with families. I apologize for the lack of information at this meeting, but given the mayor and the chancellor had recently at the press conference announcing the models, I met with SLT about our potential plans for the year. I just felt it was important that I touch base with everyone to try to, at least let you know what I know and what I don't know. Really, hopefully, just to, put you at ease a bit, which I know a lack of information doesn't necessarily do. Can there be live classes in all course subjects daily and all the rest? Scheduling questions like that, I'm not sure about. Some of that will be decided. Actually, a lot of that will be dictated by labor relations. As you know, there was no mandate that teachers teach live. We could not, that was not something that we could require. As the remote learning progressed, I think we got much better at it, and our teachers are certainly open to continuing that progress. But we don't know. I can't sit here and tell you exactly what the schedule is going to look like, that there'll be live instruction daily, because we still have a lot of staffing questions that we can't answer right now. So I apologize. I just can't give you a definitive answer. No, I just think I said that one. We will do everything we can to keep siblings together. That's all right. No reason to apologize. If I missed it, will this condense the curriculum into 1 day, 2 day? That's a good question. The question is, will this condense the curriculum into the 1 day, 2 day, or will they also be remote on the other days? If I'm understanding the question correctly, it really I think revolves around pacing. In a blended learning model, which is what what this model we're following is, the theory behind blended learning is that the students primarily work asynchronously or individually at home in the days they're home, and then on the days they're physically in the building, that's when they meet with their teachers to answer questions, go over the work they've done, provide extra support, assess, and things of that nature. Your question really revolves around, again, it comes back to labor relations. I don't know if they're going to agree to put in a strict blended learning model along those lines, or if there'll be some other agreement. Unfortunately, I just don't know. We don't really know the impact on the curriculum yet, because we don't know what the requirements are going to be for teaching. IEP students and ICT, we still have not gotten clarity on that, except that they, as it stands now, they would follow the model that the rest of the class is following. Ideally, then, when they're working remotely, would they have a second teacher to access? I'm sorry, I just can't answer that right now, because it's a staffing question. If the second teacher in the room is working with the students who are live, I don't know who would be supporting them at home. That is an issue that we have raised, and we still don't have an answer on that. Just to let you know, the questions I've read so far, I have yet to come across a question that has not been brought up at my principal's meetings with the superintendent. She shares the concern. She's in the same boat that we are. So all of these questions have been brought to light, and we just don't have information on them. As an aside, I am Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week, I have 3 days of training with Central. It's on reopening. My hope is that a lot of these questions will be answered, and I will share that information if and as I get it. Earliest possible date of going back full-time, absolutely no idea. I'm sorry for that, but I share that question. I don't have any idea at all. That comes back to notification. We don't know the protocol on that yet. I don't know anything about the child care situation. I have no information at all, just what you have. I received the same information that you did in the news. Cohorts will just be determined. I mean, it'll just be really dividing up students. I mean, it'll be using the class lists and dividing students into fourths to make it work as well as possible. We do not know the kind of mask. No idea. When we do determine cohorts, our intention right now will be to stick to classes. So in other words, class 802 would be divided into fourths. Class 704 would be divided into fourths. 103 would be divided into fourths. I will tell you, having said that anything is possible, depending on what guidance we get from Central, but I don't see anything that it would be the most convenient to divide them by class as opposed to alphabetically. That change would be pretty radical. It'll make scheduling very difficult. So I would stick with the class. I mean, no information specifically on, IEP students or speech or what that will look like. No, I'm sorry. Will students be provided textbooks or workbooks? To the extent, yes, to the extent we can, we will send hard copy materials home. We don't know what the platform is going to be yet, though, and whether there will be a mandated curriculum or, schools will have latitude to follow their own curriculum. We're not real sure about that yet, but if any hard copy materials we can send home, we will be happy to do so. I don't know about any accommodations for DOE employees. I guess my initial hunch or my speculation would be potentially taking advantage of whatever the child care looks like that the city has said they're going to establish, but I have not heard any specifics. But to be honest with you, if you work for the DOE, that would probably be a UFT question. If I have any, if we get anything that says here's an opportunity for DOE employees, we'll share it, but I would suggest that you contact the union about that one. I believe I answered that about the breakup of classes. We will stick to classes. When in attendance, will students be meeting with all of their core teachers? Most likely. Arts are going to take a hit because if students are in the building once a day, it's going to be mathematically impossible to ensure that they get, the right amount of art, music, even PE in person. So the priority will go to core classes when the students are physically in the building. No to alphabetically, not at this time, but I don't see any reason we'd have to. What subjects will be taught on the blended learning model? I just believe I answered that. It's not that they'll only have the 4 core subjects, but priority will be given to those subjects. And again, if the student's in the building once a week, excuse me, or maybe twice, it's going to be difficult to get them the amount of art, actually impossible to get them the amount of art, music, gym, those kind of things that they're used to. I don't know, there's been no guidance on whether a face shield can be used. Well, actually, I want to retract that. Masks are required. The face shields, and speaking to the face shield, do not provide enough cover. Where if a child does wear a face shield, as it stands right now, they must wear a mask as well. I don't know about this schedule as far as a block schedule goes. I'm not sure how we're going to schedule that yet. The full-time working parents, I don't know. The city, again, the mayor has said they're going to open up 100,000 seats for childcare. That's the only answer I can give you right now. I don't know the specifics about that. I'm sorry for that. The DOE calendar is not out yet. I don't know when it's coming out. So no, we actually don't even know the first day of school at this point. Classes of special education program. Again, I'm not real sure about that. Our goal is to get the self-contained classes in every day if it's feasible. The rest, like ICT students who are in gen ed classes, they will be run at this time, the same as the rest of the classes. Again, not alphabetically. I don't know about supplies yet. We're holding off on that. I don't want parents going out and buying a bunch of school supplies, and then we find out either A, we're not going back at all, or, you know, and there's an issue with sharing of supplies. So until we get a better idea what we're going to look like in September, don't worry about supplies at this time. I mean, if you want to start looking at basics like pencils and pens, some notebooks, but I would not buy a bunch of supplies right now because it's hard to really say what supplies we need when we don't know exactly what it's going to look like when we go back. That's good. Again, we will do our best with art, music, and activities, things like that, but most likely they'll have something once a day. But the current guidance is that, say, an art teacher will travel to the students as opposed to the students traveling. So, you know, if students have five quote unquote core subjects, a lunch period of some kind. Someone asked about recess, another thing, I don't know about that yet. But yeah, our goal will be to have, we still have the art, music, drama, teachers, etc. So yeah, we will do everything we can to build that in on the days they're in. Rest and recovery period regarding the masks, where no, there's been nothing like that discussed. Nothing at this time. That's not something that's been discussed. It's not impossible by any means. It's not that you know, it's something we could certainly consider. So you know, I would have no issue looking into that. Yes, the Zoom meeting, it's being recorded. It's being recorded. We have no idea about testing being required to attend school, and we don't know about a questionnaire every morning. Individual schools, really, we have to follow DOE guidance. So whatever the guidance that the DOE puts out is what we're going to have to follow. There will be no, very limited, if any, school-sponsored after-school programs just due to budget. Maspeth will be running on some level, but we don't know exactly what that'll look like yet. I don't know for sure. Like I said, if parents have concerns, we can look at them. If people, you know, if there's situations where certain people need to be together, we can try to accommodate. I just can't make any promise about that. Outdoor learning is possible. That's obviously seasonal, and our trips to the park may be limited because we really can't control. My initial response to Juniper and using Juniper would be no. At Juniper, I cannot control random people having access or getting too close to students. So for safety reasons, I would not be inclined to use Juniper widely until this really clears up. You know, well, dismissal is going to be tough. You know, how it work wearing masks. I mean, you know, we can, for the most part, it's going to take a little while to get used to who's what. I mean, you think about it, we'll only be dismissing probably 9 students per class, so it will be a little less confusing. There will be the number of parents out there will be much less each day. So, you know, we will, I think we can work through that. It'll take a little while to begin to recognize people with masks, but we'll figure it out. Well, thank you very much. We will certainly do our best. I believe that's Ms. Hernandez. I'm pretty sure. Thank you. I mean, we will do our best. I appreciate your confidence. How many teachers? I do not know how many teachers. No, not yet. That just opened. So teachers are beginning to submit their requests for accommodations, but I don't know how many that will be, and I don't know how those teachers will be replaced. There's been, you may have heard the chancellor mention on the web, on the press conference, excuse me, on the press conference that they will maybe tap into central office staff, but I don't know for sure what that will look like or how many, where we will get staff to replace those teachers. Right now, that's a good question about departmentalization. There's no plans to change that right now. Anything is on the table, though. That's the best I could say right now. But there is no plan to change it. The interruption to instruction, where you know, a month out of school, teachers who are working departmentally and now learning, you know, 3 new subjects to teach. I don't think that would be worth it. But again, I won't rule anything out at this point. If school is not open, will teachers Zoom every day? That would be our goal. Again, that really is a labor relations question. We will do everything we can to ensure that does happen. But I can't answer that definitively right now. We don't know about a school day schedule right now. Yes, the best case scenario is to have a structured school day. And that we would do everything we can to work toward that. There is a flip side to that where there are families who can't follow that structured school day. So while that would be good for the majority and that would be our goal, we do have to allow some flexibility for families who can't follow necessarily the regular structured school day when they're working from home. Does it mean that a student will attend school 1 day per week? Yes, that is what that would mean. And then the fourth week, every fourth week, they'd be in school twice a week. There is always a possibility we won't return in the fall, yes. School hours would be normal, 8:15 to 2:42 right now. Are you definitely opening if the infection rate stays below 5%? I don't know. That's completely beyond my, I don't have any control over that. That's a governor and mayor question. I've read in the paper what the U of T is saying as well. I wouldn't even, that would just be speculation on my part. I couldn't even predict that. The governor is calling for temperature checks. I don't know what the logistics look like or what staff members would be doing that. As of right now, how many hours will kids be in school? How many hours will kids be at school? Normal school day, the kids that are in school, as of right now. How many hours will kids learn remotely using the computer per day? That's difficult to say because I don't know what the remote platform is going to look like. There are indications that the DOE is coming up with a more consistent centralized platform that will be used citywide, but I can't answer what that will look like right now, so it's difficult to say the number of hours. No announcement on state exams right now. As soon as the first day of school is announced, we will share that. I mean, that'll be on the news and things of that nature, but we'll put it on the website and via e-blast. I can't answer that as far as the number of students in a class. The guidance that we've gotten is that, we can have 9 to 12 with a mask. That's central guidance that I don't have any leeway on. No word on mandatory testing about that, sorry. Someone's thanking you for all the info. I think you're being very generous. I'm not really giving much info, but thank you, and stay safe as well. There's always a chance of going back to school. Is there any chance of going back to school? Certainly, I just don't know how high that is. That's a very good question. If someone asked, will substitute teachers work at different schools or are they assigned to particular schools only? How does the DOE ensure that in the case there's a case in one building, the substitute teacher doesn't spread the virus to another school building? It's a good question. It's something we brought up as principals, and I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to that. I guess that would kind of relate to contact tracing, but it's a very good question. Live lessons, Zoom meetings are given for remote days. Will they be recorded so students, particularly younger grades? Again, it's a curricular question that I can't definitively answer because I don't know exactly what the platform is going to be, and I don't know what the agreement, the guidance between the city and the union will be. Ideally, yes. I just can't definitively state whether things will be recorded for students to watch them later in the day. If younger children are only seeing teacher once a week, feel strong, they see one teacher and make some connection. I will consider that. I can't promise it, but we will consider it. There's a logistical issue there as far as getting away from departmentalization, but that is something to consider. If students need Chromebooks, we can certainly get more out to them. We do not have internet-enabled devices here at school. But when it comes time to reopen, however we do that, we do have the capacity to distribute more devices if necessary. Again, they are not internet enabled. The city, there was an application process through the DOE that allowed you to request devices that are internet enabled that hopefully would maybe open back up as the school year began. And if you need it specifically with internet, you could request that. But we don't have specific information on that yet. School hours will be the same for now. Yes, if you do not enter your decision, the default is you're opting into school. Okay, they're assuming you're going to school. But having said that, my understanding is you can really opt out anytime. I believe I'm correct on that. If anyone knows I'm wrong, please let me know. But the default is that if you don't enter a decision, they're assuming you're going to school.
That is correct, Tom. If they don't enter a decision in that form, then they are absolutely coming to school.
But James, just is your understanding too, though, that they can then opt out pretty much any time?
Yeah, they just stop sending the child to school.
That's really what it boils down to. And what the process would be to register for the remote learning, I'm not sure yet.
There's already a survey that the parent just fills out online. I can send it to you after this so you can share it with the group.
No, I have that. I'm talking,
Okay.
say, if a parent, after August 7th, once that survey closes, if a parent changes their mind a week before school, I'm assuming that the DOE would have something where they could then opt into
remote learning full-time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
For school day, who to the school? We know before the school day who goes to school, or everybody goes to stay. You will know before we start school. You will know what day your child goes to school. We will not start the first day of school with every student in the building. Regular hours. Again, for now, everything I'm saying, quite honestly, is subject to change, and I'm sorry about that. For the 8th grader that is applying to high school, what grade will be using to apply since they didn't take the state test? That has yet to be a high school application process. We don't know about the changes yet. What I would say, don't worry too much about that. Every 8th grader in New York City public schools is in the exact same boat. So I can't fathom a situation in which students would be penalized. My speculation would be we have the first 2 marking period grades. And since the 3rd marking period was not counted, officially counted for anything, technically, I believe that they would probably rely on the first 2 marking period grades, but I just don't know for sure. But again, all 8th graders are in the same boat, so I wouldn't worry about them being penalized. Will the students learning remotely be engaged with their classmates who are attending live school? We do not, as of right now, no. There's no indication that, in other words, can students be contacting students who are in the building learning? Right now, there's no method for that to be done. That doesn't mean it's completely ruled out. It's just logistically, there's no platform where we could do that right now. Or just to give an example, you could not set up a camera in a classroom and broadcast a teacher's lesson out to students learning at home at this time. There are union and legal issues with that. So right now, there's no way to do that. That doesn't mean that I'm not open to it. If we can do it legally, I guess would be the way to do it, the way to say it. The deadline to inform the school if you choose full-time is August 7th. But again, the guidance right now is that you can decide on that. You can opt out of in-person learning pretty much any time. So if you miss that August 7th deadline, you'll be opted in automatically. And then you can then, if you change your mind, you can opt out. With the majority of working parents, will there be any time frame to return their assignments after school hours? Due dates and things like that, we will continue to, be flexible there. I do like, again, that's kind of the counter issue to, a strict school schedule. Not that, we're not going to shoot for a strict school schedule, but there are families who can't follow that. We do understand that every family has very individual needs and circumstances. So yeah, we will do all we can to provide students with flexibility on assignment deadlines and things like that. We will not penalize a student who's putting forth their best effort for their family's circumstances. And if you feel that's the case, you should contact me directly. Is the survey to make the decision the one that was, yes, that's the one that was made available on the DOE site. It's also posted to our website. Is that right, Ms. Agransani? Make sure I'm correct there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also on our website, we will be posting a link on Instagram, and parents can email me directly if they need me to send it out to them as well.
There's nothing that indicates you have to, that I know of, that you have to, do an all or nothing. If you have siblings and you'd like them on one to work from home and one not to, I have not seen anything that would prohibit you from doing that. I would look closely at that survey. If you're not sure after looking at the survey, you could feel free to reach out to Ms. Agransoni and we can escalate that. James, do you see any reason there'd be a problem with that? Say having an 8th grade student learn from home and your 1st grader go to school?
In terms of like supervision for the child at home, if no
No, I
one's
mean,
with the child.
if I have an 8th grader and a 4th grader, and I want my 8th grader to go full-time remote, and my 4th grader to do some, in-person learning, I don't think there's anything that would prevent that. Do you?
No, as long as, all the children are being supervised, that should be fine.
And I haven't heard anything to the contrary.
Yeah, neither have I.
Yes, I will post updates on Instagram. I mean, to be honest with you, up until this meeting, I really haven't had any updates. But as the information comes in, we're having trouble with the school mailing list. It is not allowing us to update. We've been back and forth with them for really since all the way back to April and May, and they can't seem to get it rectified. But yeah, we will post as things need to be updated. They'll be posted on Instagram. Thank you. You're welcome. Could there be a thought to keep the same teachers as last year? We did think about that. The issue there becomes instructionally. Now you have all the teachers learning, attempting to learn a brand new curriculum without really any notice. And the other thing it creates is, where do we put the 8th grade teachers? With the 8th grade leaving, there's going to be a gap grade. So it really would be kindergarten. If the kindergarten teachers moved up to 1st grade, I now have nobody to teach kindergarten. So someone's going to have to move, and it just, we thought about it, but it just instructionally didn't work. And again, we'd have no kindergarten teachers, so there'd be changes either way. The deadline I mentioned, procedure of learning, we don't know about any procedures for returning to school. My assumption would be, if it's not COVID, I would think a doctor's note clearing them, would be my assumption. But we will share that if we get it. The link to the survey is on the school website. Okay, so if for some reason you get on the school's website and you can't find it, you can email Ms. Agrensoni directly and she can help you with that. Thank you very much, whoever shared that. You recalled two surveys for your child, so you should be able to do each child's needs separately. When is my next? Thank you for some levity there. I'm not sure about my next wrap. I considered wrapping this entire webinar, but I didn't know if that'd be appropriate. The school website, if you don't have Instagram, yes, absolutely. Instagram will not be the only way. Please monitor the school's website, 49 Online, and if you have the Instagram account, that as well. Those will be the two main ways. YouTube, not so much. It's not as instant, but the website and Instagram would be the two ways that we will share, in addition to eBlasts. And I'd also advise you to check the PTA's Facebook page if you have Facebook. Okay, and thank you. There's Kim right there. PTA, they use Remind as well. So if you're not on the PTA's Remind, please, you're gonna get me in trouble about the. Please contact Kim at the PTA and she can make sure you're on their list. Again, we're having trouble with our mailing list, so it's a good idea to contact Kim to get on hers, because everything I send to Ms. Agrensoni to put out, I also CC Ms. Walters, and she's been very gracious in posting everything for me. So I do appreciate that. When will decisions be made? I don't know. I'm just gonna stop there before I address anything else. Yes, PTA is sharing a lot. Thank you for that. I'm going to switch over. That was all the questions in the chat. There's also a Q&A, which I'm going to start working my way through those. The first question is a good one. How can we help our children who receive academic online from home when I'm working all day? I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for that. It's a challenge to parents, and I know that. What I can tell you is that, like I mentioned earlier about due dates and things of that nature, we will be as flexible as possible with due dates, and we will do all we can to get children support who need it. I just can't, I don't have a real clear answer for that one. Families with multiple children, yes, I answered that one. We will attempt to do that. No, the school, is the school cutting ties with the NYPD? If you're referring to the transfer of the school safety division to schools, that is a 2 or 3 year process. We will continue to have school safety agents. That's run by the central. We will not be, cutting ties with the NYPD. We will continue to work closely with the 104 precinct. They've been big supporters of our school, and they've been really great with us. So we will continue to work with them and appreciate their support. Will the remote students have their assigned teachers, or will they we don't know that yet. I apologize, but I don't know. May this model change throughout the school year based on city guidelines, or is it set? That's a very good question. My initial response would be no. I think we will probably stick with the model. However, if come January 1st, we are we're able to, I can click answer live just so I keep track of this. Sorry, I'm gonna do this quick just so I know I did it. Sorry about that. I'm learning this Zoom webinar. My initial response to will the model change is no, but January 1st, you know, we may find that we can all go back. So there's always the potential for, quite frankly, for anything. And yes, the students will need to wear masks. Where to find out? We don't. You'll be notified. Really, it'll probably be via email. We have not really, to be honest with you, determined how we're going to notify parents of student schedules, but it will most likely be via the Students NYC DOE email account. And again, it will be very late in the summer. I apologize for that, but we won't have the information we need to make these decisions until probably at least mid-August. And that is going to create some difficulties in planning, but we will do the very best we can to overcome it and get you the information you need in a timely manner. Remote learning, will be virtually, and we will continue to do all we can to improve the model. Would kids be checked before they enter school? There is a call for temperature checks. We just don't know what the logistics are. Right now obviously we have Nurse Cindy, who does an outstanding job, but there's one of her, and even with social distancing guidelines, there will be 350 to 400 kids coming in each day, approximately 100 staff members, and then obviously any parents that are coming in would need to be checked if they go past the security desk. That's the current protocols at the rec centers. So the logistics of temperature checks are challenging, but if that is the mandate, we will obviously figure out how to make it work. I'm sorry, I don't have that answer right now. No, we do not know the dates for when students can opt back in. Hello, Ms. Stahl. What is the plan for when, if we don't know the plan for when it's detected? We don't know notification protocols for if there's a symptomatic student or staff member or contact tracing. I'm sorry, I just don't know yet. That's guidance we will get from Central at some point. I don't have it now. We cut out on question 8. May you please reiterate how students will be taught on the certain days kids are home? I don't know. And the reason I don't know is that really is a labor relations question between the UFT and the city. We don't know what agreement they're going to come to or what the remote platform is going to look like yet. I know that's not a good answer, and I do share your concern about it. I don't have the answer. I don't want to mislead anyone. I mentioned the face shield would have to be in conjunction with. Those questions I did answer earlier. What happens if a teacher, we don't know yet, I'm sorry. We will need subs if a teacher's out. And whether or not students would have to quarantine, that's a little bit of a twist on the same question. It's a good one though. We don't know the protocol. If a staff member was tested positive for COVID, would that class then have to quarantine? I don't know yet. We're waiting on guidance for that. I know I'm saying I've answered these questions. I should say I've at least acknowledged them. I haven't answered a lot of them, but if I've answered it in the chat, I'm just going to move through it. I'm not sure exactly what, except that ICT classes will follow the Gen Ed schedule at this time. Yes, ICT classes would be structured the same way. Here's a new one. What about using gym, cafeteria, computer room to teach? Yeah, we do intend to do that, although it's not clear. The issue is we have space. Rooms are not the issue. We have empty classrooms in this model. The issue is having staff. So, if we have 5 extra rooms, I believe actually we might have 10 extra rooms. The problem is you would think, oh, then you could bring in 10 extra sets of students. Well, I can't because we don't have teachers to cover those classes. So those rooms will be used. The gym will, right now the plan is to use it for gym following social distancing guidelines. The cafeteria may be used for lunches. It could also be used as a classroom. The computer room will, you know, may be used for its intended purpose. But, you know, having the extra rooms doesn't mean we can bring in more students because we don't have the extra staff to cover those students is the issue. If I opt to keep my son home, will he still be enrolled in 49? I don't know the logistics, but I can't fathom a circumstance in which a child would be, you're still part of 49. I don't know for sure if you'll be taught by 49 teachers, but no, I can't imagine they're going to discharge students and require you to reapply. And I would advocate, if that is a policy, I would advocate very strongly, you know, that doesn't happen. But I really, James, you want to weigh in there? Could you?
Yeah, sure, Tom. Yeah, it's my understanding that if you sign up for full remote learning, you will stay on the register of the school, and Chancellor's Regulation A101 would be followed, meaning you have the right to stay in that school until the terminal grade.
Thanks, James. So short answer there is no, you're not being discharged from 49. You're still one of us. If we choose blended and want to switch back to remote, yes, you can. You can at certain times in the year. And I agree with you. I don't see how the parent says, I don't see how we can make an effective choice without all the answers. You know, I'm not going to say you're wrong. And keep in mind, I'm a public school parent, as is, you know, James. You know, we're forced to make these same decisions without the information as well. So I empathize with you. I agree. And that's why, you know, I'm advising, my advice would be to wait as long as you can to make that choice, to, you know, see if you get more information before you have to do so. Yes, we would do everything we can to get physical activity, even if it's, you know, we might do like the Move to Improve, which is done in the classroom, using Go Noodle and exercise videos and things of that nature. We do know if kids are to remain in classrooms all day, and that's not for sure yet, but there's a possibility. If we do, we do understand the importance of getting kids moving throughout the day and breaking up that day, because yeah, it's going to be a long day for children. There's no two ways about it. Protocol when a child is sick. Yeah, we certainly have a nurse, and we will have a room to quarantine an individual. Yes, it will not be the nurse's office, because that office needs to be, you know, maintained for regular, you know, situations. But yeah, we will have a quarantine room where a child will be placed, awaiting parents to pick them up, and they will be accompanied by a staff member, most likely me, which is fine. If the protocol, what is the protocol? Yeah, again, I don't know the protocol yet. I would mention that earlier. And the deadline, there will be deadlines throughout the year. We don't know them yet, though. And yes, you can change your mind as the year begins. You could opt out at any time, is my understanding. Opting back into in-person learning will be at set dates in the year. We don't have them yet. Not sure about, you know, I should mention, do you have a sense of how many teachers will be returning to teach in person? The general guidance that we're told, the prediction is that we have been advised to predict 20% of our staff will not return. They will be granted accommodations. That's I don't know what model that's based on, and I don't know whether we will be north or south of that, but that's the number we're sort of operating on. You may have teachers from other locations teaching children from 49 or vice versa. Have there been discussions about universal lesson plans or for curriculum for all to follow? There have been questions about that. In our principals meetings, we have brought that question up. We have not been given guidance on that yet. Again, I have 3 days of training over the next Wednesday, Thursday for the rest of the week. If I get solid information that can be shared with you, I will certainly do that, okay? The students staying in the classroom and no after school, I mentioned this earlier in the chat, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip that, or just, it's been answered, just on some level. Would distance learning children and blended learning children have the same curriculum? I'm sorry, I don't know. Again, those are questions that we've raised as well. I don't know at this time. Do you need to opt into in-person schooling? That's the default. In-person schooling is the default. Will there be mandatory COVID? We don't know that yet. If there's mandatory COVID testing for anyone, staff or otherwise. Will it be a full day of school? Yes, it will be at this time. Again, I know this doesn't help, but anything I'm saying is subject to change. Maspeth Town Hall will be running on some level at this time. Obviously, if your child's not in school that day, they're not going to be able to come in and do Maspeth in the afternoon. It will be running on some level for children who are in school on a particular day. Ms. Riley is working out the details of that pretty much as we speak. What about children with an IEP who will be doing remote learning? Will the curriculum change for them? Will specialized IEP teachers be provided for them? Right now, according to what we've been told, the DOE's approach is that the city will do all that they can and will support students with IEPs and meet their needs according to their IEPs. I do not know the logistics of that at this time, and I'm sorry for that. Again, that's a concern that as principals we've shared as well, but the DOE has stated very clearly that the needs of IEP students will be met. At the school level, we will do all we can to carry that out as well. Hoping to get support and guidance from Central. Mask breaks, to the extent possible, yes, I do understand the need for that. So I mentioned that earlier. We would, potentially get kids outside, weather permitting and things of that. In the building, I cannot state definitively that we can allow students to take off their masks. I couldn't make that decision on my own. I'd have to get guidance on that. I do understand the need for it, though. We don't know about testing. That was the questionnaire each morning, not sure yet. Would you allow kids to? Well, sure, students will certainly interact with one another, but they will have to maintain social distancing, and that's going to be challenging, and I understand that. Again, that will come through educating students constantly the importance of maintaining separation, the reasons behind it, and ours will be an approach of I guess, guiding them. It's not a punitive approach. We're not looking to punish students who take a mask off or who don't, who violate, for lack of a better word, violate social distancing norms. Our approach would be to constantly, reiterate the importance of it until it becomes just part of the culture. Will kids who go to school have the 49? I don't know about that yet. That's back to which teachers will be teaching who. We don't know for sure who will be teaching any of the remote students. Our goal would be to have live instruction every day. Not moving forward on any school supplies at this time because we just don't know what we need or what it will look like. IEP students, will they receive services in school and or online? A combination of both, to be very honest with you. Students who opt for the in-person instruction when they're in school, receive it in person. When they're at home, they'll receive those services online. Students who opt out of in-person instruction will receive services online. So there will be no teaching on the day they are in school. No, and I understand why you're asking that. That is really what the blended model, the blended learning model in its truest form, that's what it would look like. I would not go so far as to say there's no teaching or it's just support. But just to give an example, if a child's in school every fourth day and a teacher teaches, for example, day one of a writing unit, it's not realistic to think, all right, well, that teacher's going to teach that unit, that lesson 4 more times throughout the week. We've just cut our curriculum down to a quarter. So, we have to come up with a happy medium. And I'll be very honest with you, I don't know what it looks like yet. We have to get training in that, and we have been told that training will be forthcoming. Is the child required to come in on the days they're assigned? Do parents have? If you opt into in-person learning, this is a good question, and I'll read it out loud because it hasn't been asked yet. Is the child required to come in on the days they are assigned? Do parents have the flexibility to keep the child at home and learn remotely on those days occasionally? Any impact to attendance? If you opt into in-person learning, if your child's not in school the day that they're supposed to be, they would be marked absent. There's nothing set up where we could just opt the child in where a parent decides, you know what, this week on Tuesday, I've decided my child's going to be in remote learning. They're not attached to a remote learning class, so it would just be an absence. Logistically, the system's not set up for that. Will the same teachers be teaching the will the same teachers be teaching the same students in the cohort? Our teachers who are working, the teachers who do not get accommodations will be in the building every day. And the schedule will be set up so that, when the students come in, they'll see, for example, and this is preliminary, but class 504's teachers, each cohort of 504 will see those teachers when they're personally in school, when they're physically in the building. The other days, again, I don't know what that'll look like yet. Workbook textbooks, yes, that was mentioned earlier. We'll provide what we can. We don't know about high school admissions yet, but again, I would not panic at all about that. I know it's probably, and actually I have an 8th grader, so I'm in the same boat. I would have thought I realized that. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about high school admissions. Again, we're all in the same boat, and there will be a system put in place to address it. We don't know yet about whether students are moving or teachers are moving throughout the day. The question was, will children be moving from class to class, or will teachers be moving from class to class? We're not sure yet. There are some logistical issues there. I think the ideal, I guess from probably preventing a spread perspective, is that the children stay in one classroom. That creates a little bit of a logistical issue. If 2 teachers have to move at once, that class is then left unsupervised for a short period of time, but any class that's unsupervised for even the briefest period of time does open, it creates the potential for a problem. How many hours will kids be in school? Normal school day when they're in school, and again, we don't know yet what the remote model will look like. Dismissal, I don't know. It's a good question. Again, because we're operating on such a small, basically in thirds, or really potentially a quarter of the students, I think dismissal might, ironically, be one of the easier parts of the day because we don't have a large number of students dismissing at once. We will probably have to stagger it, so it could take longer. If for example, if those of you that have had kindergarten children, and since we've been dismissing over on Penelope, you know what it's like. It's a large gathering of people. We may have to stagger that and start dismissal earlier, potentially as early. Maybe one class has to start at 2:15, 2:20, 2:25, just to avoid that large crowd. We only have so many areas that we can dismiss those, so I think staggering is definitely something that is, a realistic possibility. If I opt for virtual learning, will I receive learning books from the school? We don't, again, yet know what virtual learning will look like or what the program is, so I can't really say whether or not, what materials. And if we have hard copy materials and can send them home, we will do so. We just don't know if the materials that we have in the building will complement the online platform. Will children who have paras be assigned paras when they are in the school? Yes, I mean, if any IEPs, we will meet students' IEPs when they're physically in the building, by all means, yes. Can you post update? Yes, I will certainly post. Sorry, I'm repeating a little bit, but yes, I will continue to post as I get information. Deadline, I've covered that. Sorry, it says, what a logistical nightmare. Thank you for all you're doing. No problem. I'm not sure I'm doing anything right now, but thank you. Is there anything you could suggest? Thank you. Is there anything you can suggest that we as parents could do to help? I think the one thing I would say as parents and all the adults is I think we all probably have strong opinions about these models and the quote unquote logistical hurdles that we have to adjust to. I think maintaining a positive outlook in front of our children and the students is extremely important. This is going to be difficult for them. Just re-entering a school building, there will be some level of anxiety, apprehension, and then re-entering a school building once a week, particularly for the little students. Kindergarten students are essentially going to have the first day of kindergarten once a week, for the first couple months of school if this plan comes to fruition, and that's going to be challenging. So I think as parents and the staff, we have to just pretend this is as normal as possible and maintain a positive outlook for the students. I would ask for your patience. You may not agree with all the decisions that we have to make as a school, but please know that any decision we make, or that I make, I should say I, because it really is on me. Any decision I make is made with the best of intentions. I'm not going to say to you all that I'm going to get it all right, but I will do the very best I can. So, you know, if you have questions, you know, again, keep those lines of communication open. But if there's any other support I need from parents, I will certainly let you know. You know, a couple parents asked about volunteers. It's a great idea and much appreciated, but that increases the number of people in the building, which is something we're really trying to limit. You know, we don't want too many extra bodies in the building. So even the ability of parents to volunteer for things is going to be limited severely. But I do appreciate the offer of support. And, you know, you're welcome to the extent that I am doing anything right now. This is an interesting question. We have an option to pull a kid out for the semester so that we can homeschool instead. Now, I'm going to just get into some semantics here. The first thing is you can opt into remote learning at any time. Now, you're using the phrase homeschool, which is a little bit different than opting into remote learning. So I'm going to answer two things. Yes, you can, if you get halfway into September and realize this is not working, I'm going to put my child in remote learning full time. I don't know what the process is for that yet, but you can do that. Now, if you opt to homeschool your child, where you're withdrawing your child from the New York City Department of Education and taking on the responsibility of teaching that child, you can do that at any time. If you have a question about that or you want to know how to do it, there is information on the DOE's website. If you're not sure where to find it, you can email me directly and I will get you that information. But I just want to make a differentiation between the phrase homeschool and remote learning. If you opt for remote learning, that child still stays on 49's roster. They're being taught by the Department of Education. If you opt for homeschool, which again, you can do anytime, we've had several parents do it over the last couple months, you are withdrawing your child from the city school system and taking on their educational responsibility on your own, okay? But yeah, you can do that anytime. Thank you, Ms. Walters. Ms. Walters, just to remind you, there will be minimal, and by minimal, really no parent visitors in the building during the day. And I really hate saying that. You know, I think you know that, you know, we do everything we can to have parents in as often as possible. And you know, many of you pop into my office regularly and we chat in the hallways and things like that. So that is a very unfortunate consequence of this. But yeah, in order just for everyone's safety, parent visitors, you know, things like birthday parties and even performances, I can't imagine right now that anything like that's going to be happening. I mean, birthday parties and things of that nature, no, again, unfortunately, and just random visiting will just have to be curtailed until we, you know, really come out of this thing a little more safely. Will parents get some further training on Google Classroom? Whatever, yes, except we're not sure what the platform is going to look like in the fall. So until we know that, you know, any training, we're going to wait and see what platform we're using, and then we will do what we can to provide training to parents on those platforms. Will you, for the most part, require that your teachers provide video instruction whenever possible as part of the remote learning and mandate that the students attend Zoom meetings? I mean, we will. The short answer is yes. We will. The issue here is the word require. Right now, you know, we are going to continue to encourage and you know, support teachers in providing as much live instruction as possible. At this point, I still cannot mandate that, but you know, we will work toward providing as much as possible. We are all hoping that, you know, that becomes part of the requirement. As far as mandating that students attend Zoom meetings, to the extent we can, you know, I mean, we will, if a child does not attend a Zoom meeting, you know, once we get back into this, students' grades will be impacted for lack of attendance. Yes, I think is the best way to phrase that. It's like mandating any other schoolwork. If a child just absolutely refuses to do the schoolwork, you know, the only recourse we have, you know, after supporting the child and trying to, you know, get them online with that, is that their grade would be affected. So yes, unlike, again, barring any contradictory guidance from the city and from the DOE, unlike the past few months of remote learning where there was a tremendous amount of latitude, children will be held accountable for attendance and participation. And again, I want to say that though, but give with the caveat that families who have extenuating circumstances where it's just not possible that their child participate during the day, we will work with you. Will students at home during remote learning be following the same curriculum as students in class? I think I mentioned this earlier. I just don't know that right now because we don't know what the platform looks like. I mentioned the cafeteria gym. I will need to be able to add my kindergarten child to that DOE email account. I'm assuming it's the same one we're able to check the report cards at the end of the year. Yes, and we will help kindergarten families. Alex, can you help incoming kindergarten families with that now?
I believe so. I think I have access to them on student profile now.
Okay, so the parent who's asking, Ms. Jacquez, if you want to email Ms. Agronsoni, you could, she can assist you, try to assist you with getting your kindergarten child signed up. And if it's not able to do so now, we can, work on that as we get closer to September.
And all parents in general who need
Yes.
access to their student accounts, they can email me as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just to reiterate, if you have not gotten your child's DOE student accounts, you can email Ms. Agronsoni. Please be patient. There's one of her, and I really should thank her in front of everyone. She, she was answering, I mean, without exaggeration, 75, probably 100 emails a day for a while there, trying to get parents set up in these accounts. So be patient. She will help you. It just, she's one person, but she's doing a great job. Great job.
Thank you, Mr. Cardy.
For clarity, the proposed program is 1 day a week for 3 weeks and then 2 days a week for the 4th week. Yes, that is exactly what it is. I'm going to answer that one. Were any staff members excess? We did excess one staff member. I got to be honest with you. I don't know for sure. We did excess a staff member. I don't want to share that right now. I don't know if there's privacy concerns there or issues there with, but we did have to excess a common branch teacher due to people returning from leaves, and we just did not have a position open, a position for that teacher. Can you please clarify the Maspeth Town Hall after school program? Heard you say there's no after school, but that Maspeth Town Hall is operating on a limited capacity. Yes, you heard me correctly, and I apologize if I was, well, maybe you didn't hear me correctly because I may not have been clear. When I say there's no after school, I mean school-sponsored programs, okay? The things that, quite frankly, are really a big part of what we do and a big part of school culture. Sports teams, plays, after-school clubs. There is no money in the budget to support any of those things at this time, and I don't think that's going to change. And I don't really know, we don't have guidance yet on whether, across the city, like sporting events are even going to take place in the fall. I don't anticipate they will. Now, Maspeth Town Hall is a community-based organization that operates independently of the school. In essence, they rent the school building after school and run their program. So yeah, they are going to operate in a limited capacity. We don't exactly know what that looks like yet though. Yes, you can switch to, if I choose remote, no, I apologize, let me retract that. Question is, just to clarify, if I choose remote, can I switch to blended at any time? No, there will be set times throughout the year that you can switch to blended. I don't know yet what these times are. So teachers for completely remote will be different than the school teachers. I can't say that for sure, but that's a possibility. Would their teachers shift if I bring them home? Again, I can't say for sure, but it's a possibility. And I'm sorry, I wish I could answer questions. But both of the things, both are extremely possible, that the students who opt into full-time remote learning may have teachers that are different from 49 teachers. So yes, their teachers might shift if you keep them home from our teachers in school. We don't know the grading policy yet, but if, barring any changes from central, where there's a central grading policy, our grading policy would mirror that of the regular school year, except that we will probably tweak the reading levels because having the kids in once a week, it's not realistic or really logistically, it creates some issues trying to do running records. We're gonna have to probably figure out a different assessment there. Will kindergartners get an orientation? Yes, kindergarten families, if you're on here, I do plan on doing a remote orientation. I apologize, we usually invite all the families in the building and we show you around. It's great to meet the new kindergartners. Really one of our favorite days. But there will be something going out. We have all your emails, and e-blast will go out within probably the next week or so about a virtual orientation for kindergarten students. Again, I got to manage expectations. I'm going to have a lot of, I'm not sure, I don't know yet, but at least you can, you know, families and even children maybe can put faces, at least see a face in the school. We don't know about regions yet. We don't know if statewide that's going to go on or what that's going to look like. The question was, will 8th graders take the regions? We have no information on state tests or regions at this time. What about just doing remote learning and having daily classes on Zoom to have some sort of structure? That was not an option, and at the school level, we don't have the latitude to make that decision. I'm sorry. Do we have to fill out any forms or surveys for in-person learning? Nope, you can just stay with exactly what you got. You don't, if you want to, you can, but if you just ignore the survey, you'll be opted in. It might be a good idea though to complete the survey just for your peace of mind, so there's no confusion. That way you've indicated clearly that you want your children in the in-person learning. Suggestion: have live classes during the in-class learning, so remote learning can learn alongside the in-class learning. There are legal issues with that, and legal and union issues with broadcasting from classrooms. If we get clearance to do that, that's something we will certainly consider. But right now, that's not. We're not allowed to do that, for lack of a better word. That is the fact. Is there a way for parents to get their voice or opinion heard on remote learning, meaning our preference for the school teachers teaching our kids over Zoom classes, live lessons, more regulated schedules, how testing would look? Those are labor relations questions. The surveys and things like that go out. You can certainly give your opinions there and share your thoughts, but the decisions on things like the amount of live instruction that takes place, the platforms that are going to be used, how teachers teach. I mean, some of those are labor relations issues, and I'll certainly, I will entertain any suggestions or ideas and do our best to, incorporate them. But, our overarching goal is, yes, to increase the amount of live instruction, to get as close to a regulated schedule we can. As far as testing, I'm not sure if you mean state testing or, testing in school. I mean, the assessments we do, we will continue with our, our I guess, usual assessment practices, and then we may have to adjust them to accommodate remote learning. SLT, the SLT parent members would be a good way for you to get your preferences as well. You can always feel free. I mean, you can email me and I can bring it to SLT, but you can also express your opinions or your concerns through the SLT, who can then bring that to the team and we can discuss it. Can we request ahead of time the day of the week we want our children to attend in person? It's going to be extremely difficult to accommodate specific requests. I can't promise that, because I could have, again, that would have to be evenly distributed across every child who opts to in-person learning. If I have, 70% of the parents, just who want their child in on a Tuesday, I'm not going to be able to accommodate that. So you could email me that, but I cannot make any promises that I can accommodate requests for certain days of the week. To the extent I can, I will, but I just can't promise. How will that's okay, someone came in late. The question is, how will our studies go and when will we start? We don't know the beginning yet. We don't know the first day, and we're not 100% sure what the program will look like. And unfortunately, I just can't answer that right now. But the way it's going to be set up tentatively is that children who decide to come into school will be in school 1 day a week for 3 weeks, and then on the 4th week, they'll be in school twice a week. And then the other days, they'll be learning at home. And we don't know what that program or curriculum will look like yet. If we have additional questions, yeah, you can email me, tcardy@schools.nyc.gov. It's a good idea.
Good idea.
Alex?
Oh, sorry, you can email me as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's a good idea. Actually, it's best to start with Miss Agrensoni because I get a lot of emails and sometimes I miss them, but you can always, split it. CC her, email her, CC me, or vice versa. And our email addresses are on 49 online. There's a parent contact thing you can get to, and all the contact information is there. What if a student or parent, okay, this is an interesting question. What if a student or parent repeatedly violates social distancing or repeatedly refuses to wear or frequently removes their masks? Will they be removed from the school campus? Let me address this in two ways. Sorry, it's no air conditioning in here, so I apologize. I keep mopping my face. To be very blunt, if a parent refuses to wear a mask in the building, they will not be allowed in the building. They will not make it past security, and they will be asked to leave. And then I don't want to create that confrontational, I guess, relationship, but adults who come in the building must wear a mask, and if they don't, they won't come in. Students who repeatedly refuse to wear masks, we will deal with those on individual basis. That was asked, you may have seen the press conference, the chancellor and the mayor, and there was a similar question by, I think, a reporter asked, well, what if children refuse? The official answer is that we're going to continue to do everything we can to educate children on the importance of wearing the masks. We don't want to make it a punitive thing. If a child flat out refuses, yes, we are going to have to figure out a way to separate that child and work with the parents to get that mask on. I cannot answer whether they'll be removed from the school campus. My initial thought to that, if I have a child that's just flat out refusing to wear a mask, I may have to work with that child in an isolation room individually and de-escalate the situation to convince that child to wear the mask. That would be something I would take on personally. So not a great, I hope that answers that on some level. Will self-contained classes be in school every day? That is our goal. Again, the plan that we put forward requires approval from Ms. Chan, who has been very supportive of it, and then Central. So if Central approves and we can logistically and safely do it, yes, it is our goal to have self-contained classes in school every day. And it's just easier to do with them because obviously there's up to 12 students in a class. So we do have rooms that can accommodate that number of students. Okay, that was the Q&A. Let me come back just to make sure that there was nothing added in the chat. Let me just go back to the last place I was on the chat. Okay, that one I got that one. Bear with me 1 second, everyone, although I can see the attendance is diminishing, so, which is fine. Is the survey to make the decisions? Got that. Yes. I apologize. I just want to make sure nothing was added to the chat and I miss it. Deadline to decide. Got that. Yep. Next draft. School account questions. I think I answered that, but if you have an issue with your school account, please contact Ms. Agrensoni. She can help you with that. Para question was answered. Thank you I appreciate everyone thanking me for the information, but I really don't feel like I shared much. So again, I think you're giving me a lot of credit. I appreciate that. Yeah, we will email parents prior to the start of school, and again, it might be very late as to what your child's schedule is. I don't know about children wearing their own masks or if there's only DOE masks. That's a very good question. The question in the chat here that I didn't get to earlier. Can kids wear their own masks or only the Department of Education masks? I don't know. And, James, any thoughts on that? Do we have any guidance yet?
I haven't seen any guidance on that, but I mean, as long as the masks meet the specific criteria, I think some of the kids like wearing their own masks that have little designs on it, and it just makes it a little bit easier for them to work with. But we've gotten no guidance, but as long as they meet the certain criteria, I don't see a problem with it. but we'd have to wait if we hear anything about that.
Yeah. Who is James? James Leahy is from the district office. He is, James, what's your official title? He's our operations guy. He really does a little bit of everything.
Field Support Liaison is my official title.
Which covers
guidance, safety,
variety.
legal, youth development,
Yeah.
operations, budgets, anything else.
He's our go-to guy when we have questions. Operations is probably the best way to phrase it, but he really does. He provides us with support on pretty much any question that comes up. And if he can't answer it, he always bounces us to the right person. So on all of our parent meetings, which there's been a district office rep on each school's parent meeting. A lot of, oh, thank you. There's a lot of craziness. No problem, though. That's what we're here for. Can't the teachers who are not teaching core subjects assist students in remote learning in places like the gym or cafeteria? This way they are at least in school and allowing their schedule. No, it's a good question. The reason, like, teachers who aren't assisting teachers in core subjects are still teaching. So, you know, an art teacher, for example, will still have 5 teaching periods a day because core subject teachers have to have their preps. So we don't have, you know, I guess, quote unquote, extra teachers to supervise students' remote learning, where we could bring those students into the school building and let them conduct their remote learning at home. You know, and truthfully, on any given day, we're going to have 700 to 800 students at home learning remotely. You know, we cannot accommodate that many more students in the building safely. Again, filling out the forms, I would make sure you do it. Thanks, James. Got that, violating social distance. If you have trouble accessing NY Schools account, again, that is email Ms. Agrensoni. I concur that main question again is about children in first and kindergarten. How do we make them keep their social distancing and keep their masks on? It's constant repetition, and for lack of a better word, you know, I hate to use the word, teaching, training them to do so. It is going to be a challenge. I acknowledge that. I don't have a quick answer where I could say, oh, we're going to do this. It's just constantly reiterating the importance of it to the children and encouraging them to do so. Okay, what happens to the students who opt for blended learning in the next quarter? Do they get the space? Do they get the space? Oh, I'm sorry, I understand. It's a good question. The question is, what happens? So a child that initially opts, if I'm understanding it correctly, a child that parents decide, I want my child to be learning remotely to start. However, at the first opt-in period, that parent then says, you know what, I think things are okay. I want to send my child in to do in-person learning. That is the reason why we have to operate 4 cohorts. You know, that's why we have to assume each class is going to operate at its maximum capacity, because, you know, at any, you know, 2 or 3 times, maybe even 4 times a year, if it's quarters, so probably up to 4 times a year, parents can opt back into live instruction. And again, to reprogram 2, 3, or 4 times a year, there will be absolutely no continuity in our schedule. It sounds like I know what we're saying, oh, we can just adjust each quarter to the number of students coming in. Programming is a very, very large undertaking. So, you know, there will be room in those classes, yes, and that's the reason for the 4 cohorts. You will not lose your spot. Now, again, I want to come back to the next question is, will you lose your spot at 49 if you homeschool? I want to again differentiate. Homeschooling is withdrawing your child from the Department of Ed and educating them yourself. So at that point, yes, you are removed from 49. Now, you could re-register, you know, a month later. If you say, you know what, homeschooling is not working, I want to register again at 49. But you could lose your spot, because we may have students that enroll and a grade could fill up. So just to give an example, if our 2nd grade is full, every class is at capacity, and a parent decides to withdraw their child and homeschool that child, right now there's an opening in 2nd grade. If a family who's zoned for us moves into the neighborhood with a 2nd grader, we have to register that family. The 2nd grade is now full again. If that homeschool parent a month later decides, you know what, I want to get my child back into 49, we would not have a space for you. That's homeschooling. If you opt for remote learning, you're still a 49 student. There is no discharge. You're still one of us. You don't lose a spot at all. You're just opting for a remote model. So I just want to differentiate. If there's still a lack of clarity for anyone on the difference between homeschooling and remote learning, you can feel free to email Miss Agrensoni. Any of the APs too. Well, really this summer, Miss Snell and I are the ones working, so it would be Jess or I. But Mr. R and Miss Delia are they're 10-month APs, so they don't work through the summer. Will you have another webinar before opting out closes? As I will have another webinar when I have information, which I do anticipate. Yes, by August 7th, I will definitely. I anticipate having more information. So yes, there will definitely be another chance for me to share whatever I have prior to opting out closes. But just to reiterate, again, my understanding is you can opt out at any time. I think I strongly encourage everyone to do so, to make their decision by the 7th, because that just helps with logistics. But you're not obligated, just to let you know. We'll do, thanks. She is awesome. Someone's awesome. Yes, absolutely. Will MASPA send out registration info? I would contact MASPA directly. I'm not sure how they're handling registration. I don't want to speak for them. We're not sure about masks yet, but we will, as long as it, I have no issue with children wearing their own masks. I just don't have specific guidance. And the school was very hot. Yes, you're absolutely right. This is a good one. I was there for voting with my mask, and the school was very hot. How will that be addressed for students and staff that have to be there all day? I'm reading this as I sit in my office with no air conditioning the last couple of days. Ms. Chan is aware that our AC units are on the roof do not work well. She has escalated that. At this time, they're not fixed yet. Those of you that have been in the school for a while, you know that they are notoriously inconsistent. The superintendent shares this concern. She has brought it to the attention of Department of School Facilities, who have told us they're going to address it. That's the best I can tell you. If you're not satisfied with my answer, and I don't blame you, you certainly could. You could contact 311 if you're concerned about the consistency of the air conditioning. Once school starts, give them some time to get it fixed. But as there are problems with the air conditioning, we escalate it right away to try to get it fixed. But I've been in the building almost 7 years, and those of you that have been with me know it does not work consistently, and it is a problem. No problem. Thank you. If virus situation gets better, is there a possibility to go to school more than 1 day a week? The only way that would be a possibility is if they raise social distancing capacity. So in other words, the numbers I've shared with you, 9 to 12 people in a classroom, I received those from the Office of Space Planning. Every principal got a social distancing capacity spreadsheet, which lists every classroom and how many students can be in each classroom based on social distancing guidelines. If those guidelines change or go up, which I guess theoretically could happen. Maybe we get into, December and this thing is under wraps and they're saying, now we can put 15 to 20 people in certain classrooms. Then yeah, that could change, but I can't do that unilaterally. You are good, thank you. Thank you. Just making sure. Ms. Agrensoni has shared her email address. I'm hydrating, thank you very much. Again, thank you for claiming this was informative. I'm doing my best. I'll continue to be transparent. You all know you can email me anytime. Okay, I'm having a hard time understanding how the in-person days will be in sync with remote learning if it will not be taught by the same teachers. I acknowledge that concern, and I don't have guidance on how those two things will sync up because I don't know what the platform is going to look like right now. So that is a legitimate concern. I can tell you that, and James can attest to the fact that principals, and I brought that up to the superintendent who shares the same concern, and we are all waiting guidance for how we can explain this clearly to parents and say to you that here's how this will work. And I can only apologize for not having that guidance. No problem. Thank you very much. I appreciate all your kind words. Someone said a parent can supplement remote learning with whatever you want. Absolutely. I would encourage parents You know, if the platform does not turn out to be what you need it to be, I mean, the resources are infinite on you know, on the internet today. And the biggest thing I would say is, for, you know, aside from internet resources, is just encouraging your kids to read every day, constantly. I can't stress the importance of that enough. You know, if you're really not sure what to do, or, you know, where can I find extra resources, just have them read always. It is by and large the best suggestion. Yes, I can share my screen with the proposed model. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. Yeah. That's not it. Sorry. Oh, wait. Am I sharing the model right now?
Yes, you are.
Thanks, James. So the question, parent asked if I could share my screen. I'll just explain it and then look again to see if that clears it up. The model, as you can see, and again, this is proposed and needs approval. Children will be divided into really 5 cohorts, okay? And the 5th cohort would be, I guess you could call it cohort D right here. They opt into full remote learning. So the other cohorts would be, you know, cohort A would be in on Tuesday, every Tuesday, cohort B every Wednesday, cohort C every Thursday, and cohort E every Friday. And then on Mondays, every 4th Monday, each cohort would be in. So in week 1, A would be in on Monday. In week 2, B would be in on Monday. In week 3, C, and in week 4, E. Okay, so that is the proposed model that we're looking at right now, with the potential of self-contained classes being in school every day, with priority given, if we can't bring them all 5 in, priority would be given to the lower grade self-contained classes. We would start there and go from there. So I'm going to stop the share. I can put it back up, it's just so I can see the questions again. Let's see where to leave off. Sorry, bear with me. Can you share? Got that. We will email parents. Regular mail, we don't have the capacity to do right now because we still don't have staff coming into the building, with the exception of me and the occasional AP. So we don't have really the capacity to get regular mail out. We will share that information via email. What I will tell you is this: once we have the schedules, or we know the students' schedules, we will post that they're keep an eye on your emails. So we'll put that on Instagram. The PTA will let you know. The school website saying emails are forthcoming. You should receive an email by this date with your child's schedule, and then you'll know that if you haven't received that email, you can always contact us, Ms. Agronsoni, but there'll be directions on who to contact at that time. Angela. The blended learning will be the same by the same person. The blended learning will be by the same person, meaning remote learning for those students who go to school 1 day a week is synced. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, Ms. Delio's clarifying a little bit, and I probably misunderstood the question. The blended learning, and I should say theoretically, in a perfect world, will be by the same person. So in other words, if your child is in 501 in cohort A, 501 cohort A will receive the assignments from the same teacher 5 days a week, and then see that teacher in person 1 day a week. Now I'm going to just make that statement and then back off it a bit, because that's the way it should work. That's the way we envision it working. That could change depending on the platform, but in a perfect world and in a perfect model, the same teacher will be responsible for providing your child with both in-person and blended learning. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Delio, for clarifying that. No problem. You're welcome. Is the remote learning option only? Oh, it's the remote. I'm sorry. There's Angie again. It's the remote learning option only that would not be aligned synced to the 49 school curriculum. Ms. Delio is correct there. And again, that's the assumption. Thank you for clarifying that, Ange. But I think that, again, that's if the system works perfectly, or works as well as it's supposed to, I should say. I think I don't see anything else in the chat, and I don't see anything else in the Q&A. So let me just scan down one more to make sure. Yeah, I answered that one. Well, I did the best I could. So I think that is really, that is all that I have. This was recorded. I'm going to learn how to share that link to everyone, with everyone, and then, you know, get that out to you as soon as I can. But again, if you have questions, please email Ms. Agronsoni, CC me. Someone's recommending a long, long vacation at some point. You know, I think, again, to come back to what I really appreciate is the parent asking, what do we need from parents? You know, just continued patience and support and really trust that we are going to do everything we can, and every decision we make is made with the best of intentions and what we feel is in the best interest of students. We will not be able to accommodate every parent request. You know, it's just not possible, but we will do everything we can in consultation with SLT. You know, the plan that we came up with was, like I said, really parent generated at SLT. So, you know, reach out. We'll keep you informed via PTA website, school website, and Instagram. And thank you very much, everyone, for your time. It was a long one, so I apologize for taking up so much of your time. I hope to help somewhat. And yes, we will do this again as soon as, you know, we have information that's worth sharing, okay? So with that said, PTA, oh, thank you. Pta Remind Code is there. Code is at PTA PSI if you want to get their reminds, okay? And that's a good thing to do, especially for those of you that are struggling with the school's distribution list. The PTA gets everything and they send it right out, okay? So I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Thanks very much. I appreciate your patience, your questions, your understanding, and your suggestions. I really do. So have a wonderful day and rest of the summer, and look forward to seeing you again soon, okay? Hang in there, everybody. Please give all the kids my best. We miss them very much. Being in school without them is a bit lonely and kind of strange. So, but have a great day, everyone. I'm just going to leave. I'll do this. I'm just going to end this. It's going to cut off now because I'm ending it for everyone, okay?